During this week's reading in Who Speaks for Justice, the way that I tackle the question of what are the text assumptions about the phenomenon being discussed, the text assumes that many of our students that are minorities aren't being heard. That's the bottom line. They're children that need permission to express themselves, just as the poets in Miss Finch's third grade class. Um, there are many stories, such as the story about playing on the court and translating the lessons from the court to real life, and seeing children, seeing, for example, black children having role models, having people that play with them in the streets but then also teach them in the classroom. It makes such a difference. So again, there's an issue. There's an issue. The second part of the question, or the second question, says, what are the implications of the assumptions and or the arguments? So I believe that these assumptions imply that us as teachers carry the responsibility to inform our students of their potential and the idea that they are limitless. I think that we don't have to make them, we don't have to give them potential. We don't have to create anything that already isn't lying within them. It may be dormant, but it's there. And I think that it's kind of like the similar idea of giving children permission to express themselves and their creativity, permission to believe in themselves, permission to do anything that they want to do, to make them aware that they can do anything, to get rid of those false narratives that have been passed down, may it be from generations or whatever they've learned from the people growing up around them. I would say that there's also a call to action in the text for us to allow ourselves to get personal with our work, because I believe that this is a type of career that runs really deep, in the sense that I understand that there are people that are very passionate about their job, people that love their job. For example, right now, the job that I'm working at, it's a scenting company, and my supervisor is really passionate about sales and everything like that. But I feel like this may be a bias as a teacher, but I feel, or as a future teacher, but I feel like there's a difference with our job because, as I wrote down, we take it seriously because if there's something different about investing in the lives of others when financially you aren't necessarily invested in. I don't want to compare apples to oranges, but it's different when you're passionate about a job, for example, because you're making commission off of it, as opposed to being a teacher where you know that you're not in it to make the big bucks or whatever, but there's a part of you, it requires you to be personal. I don't know how teachers can teach without being personal, and I think if they do, then they're probably not as effective as they could or should be. What is at stake in the text? Arguments for the authors and for you. Our effectiveness, as I was mentioning, as teachers is at stake. I like the book mentions to stop taking bad advice. There's so much bad advice around you. Even me trying to pursue this degree, I have had so many people tell me, don't be a teacher, it's terrible. I've been a teacher. You're not gonna, it's not worth the stress and not worth the money. I think, I mean, I don't expect to be proven wrong, but I think that perhaps those people didn't have the correct approach and maybe not even the correct education to become teachers to begin with. I would also say that my autonomy is at stake when it's misinterpreted. As the book mentions, instead of viewing it in a selfish way, instead of viewing autonomous teachers as those who are uninterested, who those who don't want to be involved, we should take it as a self-governing power that is used to enhance the experience of those around me and those students that I teach, those lives that I'm going to affect. Who or what are the authors arguing for or against? In the stories, the authors are arguing for the underdogs. Maybe for the students who start off the year struggling and nobody believes in them at first, like Amos, or the minorities in the Black civil rights era, and the lack of lack of belief that the belief that they lacked in themselves because of the oppression, again, because of those false narratives. How do the authors construct and articulate their arguments? I think this is usual for the book, for Who Speaks for Justice. The arguments are constructed through life experiences, and I feel like those life experiences, you cannot negate them. They are real experiences, they are real life lessons learned. So it's hard. I wouldn't be able to argue with it, and I don't want to argue with it, because these lessons are something that I have no problem adopting. And that leads into the second question, not the second question, but the following question, which is, how does a text fit or not fit in relation to your own practice? Like I mentioned, honestly, I don't expect a lot of controversy from the readings in this course. I personally resonate with the opening statements about being more than just a teacher. I think people would be surprised to find that cases like those of Amos are more common than they think, you know? I imagine someone who isn't passionate about teaching, or someone who doesn't have a great understanding about teaching to assume that, well, oh, that's only once in a while. Like, it's once in a lifetime that you're going to get a student that has a miracle story. But first of all, not only is that untrue, but how many people even keep up with their students to see how far they've come? They don't know. I love the idea. I resonate with the idea that a failure is a new beginning. I think that it's so tempting to have a dream, for example, like baseball being ended, or being coming to a screeching halt because of an injury, an ankle injury, and thinking that that's the end of your life. No, I love the idea of thinking that that's a new beginning. I think that's so, so powerful. I also believe that it's so key to think about success and applying all those virtues from education at an individual, organizational, and community level. I love the idea of our findings being infectious. So I think that that goes hand in hand with growing that success and growing that awareness through the hierarchy, through the larger cone of levels. What questions did you find yourself asking after doing the readings? Okay, after the readings, I thought to myself about the importance of extracurricular activities, and I thought about how the difference between regular classwork and extracurricular activities is that we choose those extracurricular activities. So perhaps if we can apply the mindset and the passion of extracurricular activities that come with extracurricular activities into the classroom, then maybe that can make a world of a difference. I think that we have to try to make our students passionate about learning and allow them to think about how we can use the lessons, such as those learned in a marching band, to apply them to their lives and apply them into the classroom. Thank you.